Hello, and welcome to Community Business Matters. I'm Andy Radig of Wisconsin Rapids Community Media, and I'm joined with my co-host, Carla Lenk of SCORE Business Development. And our guest today is Barry Johnson from Hometown Pharmacy here in Wisconsin Rapids. So welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Sure. Well, there have been a lot of changes in the pharmaceutical industry and a lot of different things happening. I guess if you can just tell us a little bit about your business and just a little bit of background.
Sure. So I worked for 12 years for Shopko and started off as a pharmacy manager at our location in Stevens Point. Worked there for 4 years, and I got moved over here to the Wisconsin Rapids store, which happened to be the highest volume pharmacy in the company. So that was kind of a nice privilege to be able to be the manager of the highest volume pharmacy. Mm-hmm. I did that for 4 years and then got promoted to a regional pharmacy supervisor position where I was overseeing the operations of between 46 and 76 different Shopko pharmacies across Wisconsin and Minnesota. So I got a lot of experience with the different states and how they operate. Mm-hmm. And a lot of different management experience, and got to teach some of our other managers how to handle situations and things like that. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, when Shopko went under, we were all kind of looking for things to do. Yeah. And I did a short stint with another pharmacy company, and this opportunity came up to partner with Hometown Pharmacy. Hometown is a partnership with pharmacists across the state. We have somewhere in the vicinity of 70 pharmacies now in the state. We're all independently owned with one partner. Mm-hmm. So each one of us is a little bit unique in what we do, but we all kind of have one common goal, and that's taking care of patients and trying to encourage proactive health care and taking care of ourselves on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. The pharmacy is in the back of the building, and the front is all home decor, boutique-y type stuff, lots of decorations for the house and women's clothing and jewelry and stuff like that. In fact, some of the people have come in and asked, where's the pharmacy? Because it's kind of uniquely hidden in the back, sort of. It's actually in plain view, but there's so much nice stuff in the front that you don't realize you're walking into a pharmacy. It's a very nice setting.
Mm-hmm. Okay, it's a lot more than a pharmacy then.
Yeah, a lot more, yeah.
Okay. Well, and then you talked about the Hometown Pharmacy brand, as it were. Are there other Hometown pharmacies located throughout central Wisconsin as well? Or?
Yeah, so one opened recently in downtown Stevens Point. One is slated to open later on this year in Plover. We have one up in Rhinelander, and there's one going in Wautoma. Yep, and then there's some over in the Fox Valley, and then south and across the state. Quite a number of them. Like I said, each independently owned, and each one of the pharmacy owner has kind of their own niche and their own drive to want to be successful in what they do. Mm-hmm. Each of us has our own kind of thing that we'd like to make sure that we bring forward to patients. Mm-hmm. So it's nice to be able to run your own pharmacy and have the time to visit with patients about things that are important, educate them about the medications they're taking, and the importance of taking care of themselves on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Will you be doing shots like for the flu coming up now and other things?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, just the other day I called my wholesaler to find out where we were with our flu shots. They don't have an estimated delivery date yet, but I have a number of flu shots on their way in. We do all kinds of vaccinations, flu, pneumonia, shingles. Unfortunately, the shingles vaccine is very difficult to get right now. It's been on back order almost since the day it went on the market. A few doses trickle in here and there, and we have lists of people that are waiting to get them. It's a very effective vaccine. So we do a lot of vaccines.
And you only need one shot, right?
Yeah, you need 2 shots. It's a series of 2.
Okay.
Yep. It's the first shot, and then the second one is within 6 months or so after the first shot, and they keep expanding it a little. I think it's because of the supply problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Remind us again where you're located.
So we're in the old Shopko Mall, between where Shopko used to be and the Shoe Sensation, the grocery store down at the end of the mall. Okay. So we're big blue awning, kind of hard to miss us.
Okay.
Very large blue awning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you in other states also?
We have a couple of stores in Michigan, and there's another Hometown business that is separate from ours that monopolizes most of the Lower Peninsula. We have a couple up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know that you were originally involved at Shopko, but how many years or how long have you and your staff been involved in this business?
So we opened on May 1st, so it's only been 3 months. And it's been really good. We've seen a lot of our familiar faces. It's nice to see the people that we used to always take care of over there. From myself, I'm from North Dakota, so I think my main interest in getting into this was I was raised in a state that has a pharmacy ownership law, which means that the owner of the pharmacy has to take part in 51% or more of the business, the daily operations of the business. So there's only one chain pharmacy in the state, and they actually got grandfathered in and actually purchased this pharmacy that was grandfathered in. Osco Drug was there, and CVS purchased them a few years back. So there's about a dozen of them. Otherwise, there are no other chain pharmacies in the state. So independently owned pharmacies are something that I grew up with. And running my own business was always something I kind of wanted to do. And honestly, when I came out of school, Shopko felt like an independent pharmacy, even though we were a chain, because each one of the stores was kind of run sort of, we were given enough freedom to run our stores the way we wanted to. So when this came up, because of the fact that it was a partnership and I wasn't 100% on my own with it, having a business partner was very key for me. So I have the time to spend with my patients, and I don't have to spend a whole bunch of time with my nose in a book trying to figure out all the bottom line stuff, which is still important, and I still need to do some of it. But
You can be a pharmacist.
I can be a pharmacist,
Yes,
which is what I really love. Yeah.
And didn't you tell me before that a lot of the technicians came with you? So
Excuse me,
that's-
yes. Yeah, I have 5 people in the pharmacy with me, all of whom come from Shopko. Diane Winkler was a pharmacist there for 35 years. Kathy Hockerman was a technician there for 40 years. Jen Gormison was a technician there for 6 or 8 years, and she had been a technician longer than that. She had worked for Promida before down in Adams. And Jean McCauley is one of my technicians, and she has a couple years of experience with us. And then myself in the pharmacy, and then my wife runs the front end with all the boutique area. Extremely talented woman. She designed a lot of the artsy stuff that's on the walls, and she puts a lot of it together. She's extremely talented. I can't say enough about how lucky I am to have her as a partner to make the store look as good as it does. And then 2 of my children work for us as well, and they help on the front end and stuff. So.
What sorts of things might we find in that front area? It sounds interesting.
Yeah, so there's a lot of high-end women's clothing in there and some jewelry, and then there's a lot of really neat boutique decorating stuff for the house, signage, and we have a lot of stuff about the river because of where we live. We have actually some specific items that were made for NEPCO and Wazicha, wood carvings that were made, I believe, in Michigan. One item is a cribbage board that has Lake Nebco in the middle of it. It's a pretty neat, some kind of unique gift ideas. Not a lot of stuff for men, just a few things, but for the most part, it's more of a gift type. And we have some food stuff as well. We have some healthy snacks that we try to keep that healthy. Proactive
Kids will
lifestyle.
love that.
Yeah.
Healthy.
And we have some sugar snacks actually that are pretty tasty, and they're really low in sugar. So yeah, we have some of those over there as well. Yeah.
One of the focuses that you have is toward healthy lifestyle. And so if you might be able to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So being a pharmacist, I can tell you, and everybody knows, as I kind of alluded to it at one point earlier, the pharmacy is always behind the counter where only a certain people are allowed back there, and that's because those medications have side effects, and they are dangerous, and we have to be very careful how we prescribe them, how we take care of them, and how we dispense them to our patients, and we have very good relationships with our providers in town. So we have a line of a line of supplements that are pharmaceutical grade. They're called, the company that I carry is called Orthomolecular. There are several other companies that make pharmaceutical grade supplements, but Orthomolecular, this particular company has a plant in Stevens Point where they make a lot of these medications, so it's relatively local. They're pharmaceutical grade, which means they're at least 99% pure. They're made in a 100% absorbed form, so the body can actually use the medication or the supplement that's in there, or the vitamin. So the reason I grabbed this particular one is many people are on a cholesterol medication that's dubbed a statin, atorvastatin, simvastatin, whatever. The mechanism by which they block cholesterol production is actually before the production of CoQ10 as well. So the statin medications block the production of CoQ10, which is important for muscle health, cardiovascular health, all kinds of things. So many people have reported having a hard time being on a statin medication because it gets such terrible muscle aches. This is the reason why, and with the proper supplementation, the muscle aches can go away. And I've recommended this to a couple of people, and I've gotten very positive feedback from it. They feel so much better, and it's just the everyday aches and pains that we all kind of attribute to just the fact that we're maybe getting a little older, or trees fell down, so I had to cut them all down, or whatever, that kind of thing. So it's amazing the difference that they make. They carry a lot. They have a lot of different products. They have a probiotic line that's second to none. It's an amazing probiotic. I have a multivitamin that I actually take this one myself. It's a full spectrum, every kind of vitamin you can almost think of. I take the one without iron, but you have one with iron. Again, 100% absorbed into the body in a form that you can use. I've read articles where some other vitamins, the less expensive generic type vitamins, you get maybe between 5 and 50% of what they say is in the vitamin, and these are, because they're pharmaceutical grade, you're going to get everything that they say they're in there, and they're tested to be like that. They're held at a higher standard, so they do run a little bit higher priced, a little bit more expensive, and that's because they're proven to be what they say they are, and they have to prove it. Yeah.
Do you have any type of supplements that tend to be very popular? Or?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, at this time of the year, we're getting into the fall where we're ragweed and other allergies and stuff. We have an allergy medication that is called Natural D-Hist, and it's the dosing on it is a little tricky at first because you have to do a loading dose. So you have to start taking 2 capsules 3 times a day for the first week. But after that, then you can go down to 2 capsules a day.
Okay.
I have many friends who have tried it. They've been on antihistamines and nasal sprays, and they can get off of all of them and use a plant-based, 99% pure supplement for allergies. We also have supplements for vitamin D, again, better absorbed. We have magnesium, which a lot of people really don't realize how important magnesium is in our system, but muscle cramps and stuff all are oftentimes attributed to low magnesium.
Okay.
And if you get the magnesium in the absorbable form and you ease yourself into it, you will get fewer side effects. Many of the side effects of magnesium, unfortunately, is diarrhea, one of the main ones. And a lot of that is because the medication is not being absorbed properly. So these medications in this line are absorbed properly. You still get the medication in your system, just not to the same degree. And we do carry a line of generic vitamins for those who can't afford the higher priced pharmaceutical grade ones, because we still want to help people in whatever fashion we can.
Yeah.
You say they're more expensive. Does that mean they're like again as much or half as much?
So the multivitamin runs around the $30 range for a 1 month supply. So they're probably about, again, as much. I suppose it would be about double or so what the other ones are. Some of them run a little bit more. The CoQ10 that we carry is between, for the 100 milligrams, I believe is $33 for a month, so about $1 a day. Compared to, I believe the generics are between 11 and 15 or something like that. But you get, like I said, you get the 100% of the medication, and from experience of people who have come back and given me feedback, it's made a huge difference in many people's lives.
When you give out or are asked about these types of supplements, do you ordinarily want to see what kinds of prescriptions they're using?
Yeah.
Because maybe they're already switched to a pharmacy and they don't want to switch. They just think they're going to see this and they're going to say, oh, or maybe I should go and just see what the supplements are.
Absolutely. One of the first questions that I ask as a pharmacist is, what other medications do you take? And as we build our business and get more of our patients back or build more patient clientele, I'll have their prescription profiles, and I'll refer back to it to make sure that I'm giving them the proper supplementation. I have lots of different references that I go by.
Right.
So not only statins, but also beta blockers, the ones that end in OLOL, metoprolol and atenolol, they deplete CoQ10 in our system as well. Many of the medications we take, basically prescription medications block something. That's kind of how they're designed to do. And in doing so, they block the production of other things that are useful to our body, as well as the stuff that's not useful. Like I use cholesterol as an example because it's easy for people to picture that. But yeah, so we end up depleting a lot of nutrients in our body, and it's important to get them back in, and it's amazing how much better people feel when you get the proper supplementation. And we're working on a program to educate people about proper diet and activity levels.
Yeah.
And I use the term activity levels as opposed to exercise,
Right.
because everybody thinks exercise, I got to go to the gym and pump iron or whatever. And that's not necessarily the case.
Sure.
Park a little bit further away in the parking
Mow
lot
the
and
lawn.
walk in, mow the lawn,
Yeah.
take the steps instead of the elevator or escalator. So all those little things that you do every day make a huge difference in your life.
Well, then I noticed that you have other things, the CBD oil.
Yeah, so
And your sign is out there too. I've been to the pharmacy, so.
it's something that most people have at least heard of at this point now. The Farm Bill was finally signed in 2018, I believe, by President Trump. And so I carry a line of hemp oil or CBD oil called Ananda. Ananda is a company that I trust. They have on the back of their bottles, they have those QR codes, and you can scan it and put in the UPC or the lot number, of that product. And it shows you a picture of the plant that was made from. It shows you all the soil samples that they took, all the heavy metals in it. Everything is disclosed in it. Tells you the exact amount of THC that's in them. These particular ones do have less than 0.3% THC, which is the legal limit. The bottles that I've scanned myself at the store have all been around 0.2%. The only drawback to using a CBD product orally is that it does show up as a false positive on a urine drug screen. Urine drug screens aren't quite sophisticated enough to separate CBD from THC. They both look the same in that respect. Blood tests do separate them. And so you would test on a blood test as lower than 0.3%, and it would be, and most employers, because it's legal across all 50 states, they're putting together, their HR departments are putting together policies and procedures to be able to accommodate the hemp oil use. So it's not such a big concentration that people lose their jobs over. But it is a warning that I always make sure that I tell everybody, bus drivers, truck drivers, that kind of stuff, end up with a lot of achy joints and stuff, and it seems like a lot of people come back and say, helps with my aches and pains. And
That and poppy seed, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you get testing on those things. So the things that I've had feedback on from these particular products, the salve has worked well for a lot of topical muscle aches. I actually tried it myself.
Arthritis?
So with the arthritis type, I haven't had a ton of feedback from people with the salve on arthritis, but with the oral, I have had a little bit of feedback from some patients that say they're getting some relief. Nerve pain, sciatica, that type of stuff. I've had some patients come back and say that they take this religiously because it doesn't give the pain completely gone, but it relieves it enough where it's much more tolerable and they can have a higher activity level. So then they feel better, they exercise better, they lose weight, there's less weight on the joints, so then they feel better that way as well. And sleep is another thing it's amazing how many people come back. And
sleep is one of the worst things because it's not really a disease. And as you grow older, I had one child that never slept. She would just go until finally she'd curl up in a corner someplace, and then I'd wake her up and she'd say, "No, I've got to watch the next TV program." She was like 4, but she's really had problem with sleeping.
And it's one of those things that it doesn't cause drowsiness necessarily, but it relaxes you enough or helps you to maybe, I don't know if relaxing is the right word, but my wife has used it. She has some sciatic nerve problems, and she is far more active than she used to be. And I can tell you she sleeps way better than she used to. And she actually just said today, she said, it's not like it makes me tired, she said, because I take it in the evening and I take it in the morning. And it doesn't affect the way she works or anything like that. It's just, she just feels better. And I suppose The lack of pain maybe is helping her relax more and be able to sleep better.
All right.
So-
I was wondering about that because it seems like CBD products are becoming more popular, but I guess personally myself, I hadn't totally understood, the main usage for them. So a lot of aches and pains if people have issues with that, or maybe sleep.
Sleep.
Might help them sleep a little bit better.
Yeah, I have three main things that I've gotten feedback from patients on that have used the product, and the product actually claims a lot of things. But the three main things that I personally heard back from: pain, sleep, and anxiety. We've had a lot of success with anxiety with this particular medication. None of these things are anything that I would recommend anybody stop taking their prescription medications for. I want to make sure that that's very clear. I would never recommend stopping a medication. You
It's
always,
a supplement.
it's a supplement. And I always encourage everybody, tell your doctor what you're doing. And don't feel guilty about it. It's a legal supplement for you to take if you want to take it. But let them know that you're doing it. And perhaps we can lower a dose on something if it's doing something that, you don't maybe need such a high dose of something. But I always tell everybody, you don't reduce your doses yourself. You always use your prescription, your doctors, to make sure that things are followed through appropriately.
I know there's always discussion about prices of pharmaceuticals and things like that. And sometimes there are trends in terms of different types of drugs that tend to be prescribed more or less. Any thoughts on any of that?
As far as prescribing habits, I think, one thing I discovered as I was traveling around when I worked for Shopko was that each area has different prescribing habits. The doctors like a certain prescription type medication for high blood pressure, and I go to another region and they don't use that one at all.
Okay.
So it's not really necessarily a trend across the nation, I don't think. I think it's more, what are they comfortable with? What have they seen results from? As far as pricing goes, there are some pretty big subjects coming up right now on the political front with what's called pharmacy benefit managers. They're kind of a middleman. They help employer groups choose insurance companies, and they have their hands a little bit with the wholesalers. And so the reason that they're there, or what they're supposed to do, is help an employer group select an appropriate insurance company for their employers or employees, and something that's affordable. And so they have started setting up formularies, which is which medications will we cover,
Okay.
and which, even all the way down to which manufacturer. The problem that has come up in the past several years is that there's no regulation, there's no oversight on the PBMs.
Okay.
And some of the things that have happened is that rebates that have come from manufacturers have not been passed on to the insurance companies or to the patients or to the pharmacies along the way. They've been put into the pockets of the PBMs. And so they're getting richer and richer and richer, and my colleagues are closing their doors because they can't afford to keep them open. So it's a very infuriating
Is this
subject.
why you're talking to the legislators?
Yeah, so this weekend we're going to meet with Senator Teston and Fitzgerald down in the Dells, and we're going to talk to them about this PBM legislation that's coming up, and hopefully sway them to vote positive and support the bill. It's going to help make the transparency a little bit bigger with this, so everybody can see what's happening with them. There's a lot of different aspects of it. Medicare Part D was signed into law in 2006, and that's when what's called DIR fees, direct and indirect remuneration, they're fees that are put into place to help make the medications more affordable. But the PBMs have found ways to use them as a scapegoat for clawbacks. So I can dispense a medication today, get paid by the insurance company, and 6 months down the road, they can review a patient's profile, refill history, and if they haven't filled them, for instance, if they haven't filled them exactly every 30 days or 90 days, they can take some of that money back from me after they've already paid me. So it's very difficult to set pricing when you don't know how much you're actually going to make on it. So that's just one of the many things that they're doing, and we're trying to bring this to light to a lot of people, because it's not only affecting us. The PBMs are setting these formularies so that they will only pay for higher cost medications. That way they get a bigger DIR fee. That way they have a bigger paycheck. But what that does is it makes your copay higher. And if you're on a Medicare Part D plan, if anybody's on one, they've heard of the donut hole or the coverage gap. It forces you into that coverage gap faster. And in that coverage gap's when you have to pay more. And
Okay.
so there are less expensive alternatives to many of the medications that are on these formularies. And those are the kinds of things we're trying to bring to light, is that this isn't the right way to do business.
Well, you always hear about the big pharmaceuticals making millions and certain medications going up. This person that's now in jail, I guess, because he went from $50 for the EpiPen. I think it was now $750. I mean, that's unconscionable.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really.
Yeah, and it's always been the concentration, and it's the public knowledge or the public maybe perception that it's the drug companies that are raising those prices, and in some cases they are.
Like that one.
Yep,
Like
like
that
that
one.
one, exactly. A lot of the pricing has to do with these PBMs, these middlemen that are taking these rebates that are supposed to be passed along down the line, and they're not passing them along.
And one final point, Barry, I guess, what would you say you're most passionate about with your business? I know you talked about it a little bit, but
Yeah.
what do you think is the thing?
Well, I'm really excited about having the opportunity to talk to patients about proactive health and taking care of themselves and living a healthier lifestyle and becoming happier with who they are and feeling better every day. And that's why I brought my supplements with, because I believe that this is at least a start to the right path to living better.
Sure.
And like I mentioned earlier, we're working towards programs for eating healthier and living a more active lifestyle, and those are all things that we promote at the store, and I'm really excited about that part of it, being able to see people and help people.
Okay.
That's great.
Barry, any other thoughts, closing thoughts?
No, I want to thank you guys for having me on today, and I want to welcome everybody to Hometown Pharmacy. Stop in and say hi.
Bring your vitamins and
bring-
have them checked
Yeah,
out.
bring your
Right,
vitamins. I
right.
guess one thing I want to mention that in closing, I guess, is there's a misnomer or a miscommunication or something. People feel like transferring their prescriptions to a different pharmacy is a difficult task, and it's not. It's extremely easy. You don't even have to come in. You could call me on the phone. We can take care of everything for you. It's extremely easy, and we accept almost every single insurance plan that's out there. So we've had a few people come in and ask questions like, well, do I have to call my doctor? Do I have to call my insurance company? And it's not like that at all. All you have to do is call me, and I'll take care of everything.
In fact, the doctor will say, who's your drugstore right now? Who are you using?
Yeah.
So that's real, they just, okay, you send it to Hometown Pharmacy or wherever they say that they're.
Yeah.
It's a click away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is a click away.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be embarrassed about it.
Not at all.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Well, and one more question is, what is your location again?
So our address is 1100 East Riverview Expressway.
Okay.
We're in Suite 150. So we're in the old Shopco Mall between what used to be Blue Plate Cafe and the old Shopco and the Shoe Sensation, and Robert's Physical Therapy is right next to me too. I've got the big giant blue awning. Hard to miss us.
Very good, very good. All right. Well, on behalf of my co-host, Carla Lenk, and Barry Johnson, I would like to thank you for joining us today for Community Business Matters, and please join us again next month.
You.